Greetings and welcome to Few Minute Excel, episode number 2. We're going to go fairly simple today. Basically, I wanted to show you how to filter and use a data table to get quick access to short and raw data, which is really simple. And we'll also do just a quick look at how to start a pivot table, kind of what it does, and we can go into more detail at a later time. So the first thing I'd like to do is let's assume here, if you followed episode 1, basically you'll know this is a really short list. We have a listing for a school that has the student's name, their lockers, the student ID, the how much they're charged per week, and whether or not they are charged by the school, whether they're charged off, or whether they are a teacher's child and are just written off as whatever. So we've just got 3 categories. We'll use it later for other formulas. And what I wanted to do first was basically show you how to filter. So using Control-Shift and the right arrow, you can select this and you can basically just click on the filter button here and it will give you filter options. As you can see, it goes all the way down for you automatically because Excel's smart like that. So let's just say that you know that you just know that we want to talk to Andy. And we have 2 Andys here. So, and I wanted to cover this in the pivot table too. So we can go and figure out which Andy it is. Obviously, I didn't add a last name, so you can call them both into the office. It really doesn't matter. Let's say that you want to know which students are just paying $200 a week. And there you are. It's quite a lengthy list, and we'll get into some of the fun details of how to sum this information up later. But quick little thing here you can do is when you highlight everything and you go down to the bottom here, it will actually tell you how many there are, what the average is, and what the total sum is for the selected values. Now, if you go through and you use Control, it will actually sum it for you as you go. So there are quite a few different options here that Excel can do for you, and they're quick and dirty. They won't show up in the reports or anything like that, but that is something you can do. Now then, if you want to get rid of them, you can click Clear, and that will remove the filter selections that you put on. And in this case, we're going to click the filter button and remove all our filters. All right, and all of that, I apologize, I should have said this first, all of that is done in the Data tab. So you can go to the Data tab to get the filter along with the sort, which we can cover at a different time. What I really wanted to talk about today was the pivot table. So how we're going to use the pivot table, we're going to go to the Insert tab here, and you'll see there's a pivot table option, since it will allow you to insert a pivot table. Just select, we've already set up our table properly, so we know everything is in order, so we don't have to worry about that. But we can actually just click on the pivot table button here, and it'll do it for us. It'll select all the data. As you can see here, we go all the way down. We have all of our data together. That's great. So we click OK, and one of the options that it asks is if you want to have it put into an existing worksheet or a new worksheet. I want it in a new worksheet so we can work with it solely. When you click OK, you'll get the left-hand side. This is where your, on this side over here, is where your table is actually going to be built. On the right-hand side here is really where all of your power comes in. You're going to be able to do quite a few things with pivot tables. And what it does is basically just allows you to swap the way that you see different forms of data. So how you put them in affects everything. We're not going to go into that at the moment simply because I just don't feel like it. It's late and that would make me tired, and there's a lot of options. So we're going to set it up real quick. Each of these can be clicked with a button or drug. So we're going to drag them down 2, 3, 4, profit, and rate per week. Okay. And as you'll see, it automatically sets you up with a stacked table, and I don't like these. So what we'll do is we'll right-click on each of these rows, and we'll go to Field Settings, Layout and Print, and show these items in tabular form. When you click OK, it will move them over one at a time. And I'm sure there's a fancy way to do it. I'm just not sure of how that's done. So we can go ahead and skip on that now. It doesn't take very long in this case, and if I find out, I'll let you know. The first thing I want to do, though, is I want to get rid of all of these nasty subtotals. So by right-clicking, I'll go ahead and click on the subtotals here and get rid of all of these. Now, as you play with this pivot table, you'll find out there's a lot of fun options here and ways that it can count for you and turn them into reports and charts that you can use later. Excuse me. So we have our students here, our lockers and our student IDs. It basically just looks like our table, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to go over to our field list, and as you can see, the rate per week is just in a normal value. We want to get that over to a dollar value. I want it to look like numbers because I want it to tell me how much I'm basically making on these students. So we will, I apologize, I'm moving too quickly here. We will left click on the sum value here, go to value field settings, and click number format. Then you can pick whatever you want, whether it's regular numbers, currency, accounting. In this case, I want accounting. So I'll click accounting. Everything else stays the same in this case, and now we have dollar amounts. Now the neat part about this is, remember I was telling you that you can just select and sum? This will actually do a grand total sum for you as part of the pivot table. So I know that every week I have $18,500 worth of student coming through, whether they're charged off or not. Now then, one of the neat things you can do here is you can actually filter from the left side of the pivot table now. So let's say that I just want to know people who are profiting me. Click OK. There we go, $8,600. And we can actually do a count on this too. So let's say that we want to know how many students there are. We can change this to a count. Bang. And there you are, 39 students. Let's go back to sum. Worth $8,600. Now then, some of the neat things that you can do is, let's say that we know there are, in this case, 2 Andys here. Let's go ahead and pick everything back and go up here. We know that we have 2 Andys. All right. Wow. Did I move one of my Andys? Oh. There we are. Okay. Let's say that we know we have 2 Andys, and instead of sorting by the names, we actually want to go by the student IDs instead. So you can actually just take these rows here and move them around so that they give you a different viewpoint depending on what you need. In this case, it's not super valuable to us because there's just not a lot of data. But when you have a large amount of data, especially large categorized data, you can actually use this to get different viewpoints that will allow you to look at things in a different way. And it'll affect charts as we go along too, which is really neat. So let's select all that. And I think that's just about it. That's a short and dirty on how to create a pivot table. Now, one last little tip. Let's say for some reason you make a mistake and you accidentally close that field out to the right there. So your field options. You can go onto the table, right-click, and go to Show Field List. It will pull up your pivot table field list for you again, and you are back in business. So that's what we've got for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll come back for the next one. Thanks. Bye.